Before sunrise touches the Pacific, a nation of islands begins to stir. This is Japan, where contradictions don't clash but dance. Ancient cedar forests stand witness to neon-lit streets below. Monks chant morning sutras while bullet trains slice through morning mist at 200 miles per hour. Here, reverence for the past and hunger for the future exist not in opposition, but in harmony. From snow-capped volcanic peaks to gardens where every stone holds meaning, from megalopolis towers to villages unchanged by centuries, Japan reveals itself as a land of profound beauty and endless discovery. This is a journey through contrasts that define a culture, through landscapes that have shaped the Japanese soul, through moments both eternal and fleeting. The day breaks over Tokyo, and 13 million lives accelerate toward motion. Glass and steel towers rise like a forest of human ambition, their surfaces catching first light and transforming it into cascades of gold and silver. At Shibuya Crossing, the world's busiest pedestrian intersection, thousands wait at red lights like water behind a dam. Then the signals change, and humanity flows in all directions simultaneously, a perfectly choreographed chaos that somehow never produces a single collision. This is the rhythm of Tokyo, a city that reinvented itself from feudal capital to modern marvel in less than 2 centuries. The Edo period gave this city its bones, but the 20th century gave it wings. After destruction in war and rebirth in peace, Tokyo became a laboratory for the future. Skyscrapers lean toward the sky with architectural daring that challenges both gravity and convention. The Tokyo Skytree pierces clouds at 2,080 feet, a broadcasting tower that doubles as a temple to engineering and imagination. As afternoon surrenders to evening, the city transforms. Neon signs ignite across Shinjuku and Akihabara, turning night into a second day painted in electric colors. Tiny izakayas tucked beneath elevated train tracks fill with salary workers seeking warmth and sake. Steam rises from ramen shops where chefs have perfected single dishes across generations. From the ordered tranquility of the Imperial Palace gardens to the organized chaos of Tsukiji's outer market, from the teenage fashion tribes of Harajuku to the suited businessmen of Marunouchi, Tokyo contains multitudes. It is a city that never stops becoming, yet somehow remains distinctly, unmistakably itself. Beyond the city limits, where urban sprawl finally releases its grip, a perfect cone rises against the sky. Mount Fuji stands 12,389 feet above sea level, but measures immeasurably higher in the Japanese imagination. For over 1,000 years, poets have attempted to capture its essence in 17-syllable haiku. For centuries, pilgrims have climbed its slopes seeking enlightenment and endurance. Artists like Hokusai created entire series devoted to its changing moods and faces. This is an active volcano, its last eruption in 1707 coating Edo in ash. Yet it sleeps peacefully now, snow-capped even in summer, a study in symmetry that seems almost too perfect to be natural. The mountain reveals itself rarely, often hiding behind clouds and mist as if maintaining a deity's proper distance from mortal eyes. On clear mornings, its reflection doubles in the still waters of Lake Kawaguchi, creating an image that appears on countless postcards, yet never loses its power to astonish. Cherry blossoms frame it in spring, a juxtaposition of the eternal and the ephemeral. The The Chureito Pagoda offers a quintessentially Japanese view, its 5 red tiers leading the eye upward toward Fuji's summit. The mountain is more than geography. It is a spiritual anchor, a cultural touchstone, a reminder that some things endure while empires rise and fall at their feet. To see Fuji is to understand why the Japanese word for landscape, sansui, literally means mountain and water. Here, nature achieves a perfection that human hands can only hope to echo in gardens and temples built in humble imitation. Following the mountain's shadow eastward leads to Kyoto, where the past isn't preserved but lived. At the base of Mount Inari, where fox spirits are said to serve the rice deity, begins one of Japan's most extraordinary sights. Fushimi Inari Taisha, Shrine of Shrines, where over 10,000 vermilion torii gates create tunnels of sacred color climbing up the mountainside. The tradition began in the Heian period, over 1,000 years ago. Worshippers seeking favor for business prosperity donated these gates in gratitude or hope. Each torii bears the name of its donor and the date of its installation, creating an architectural record of faith spanning centuries. The color itself, somewhere between orange and red, was chosen both for its beauty and its practical ability to preserve the wood from decay. Walking through these corridors, light and shadow play in alternating rhythms. Sunbeams pierce through gaps between gates, creating patterns that shift with every step. The air smells of cedar and incense, earth and devotion. Stone fox statues guard the paths, keys or sheaves of rice held in their mouths, their expressions serene and slightly knowing. The paths climb 4 kilometers up Mount Inari, winding through forest and past countless sub-shrines. Most visitors photograph the famous dense sections near the base, but those who climb higher find gates weathered and solitary, standing watch over views of Kyoto spreading below. Here, in these quiet upper reaches, the spiritual purpose becomes clear. This isn't a monument built all at once by imperial decree. This is accumulated faith, individual prayers stacked into something overwhelming and beautiful. In Kyoto's northern hills, past gardens where moss has been tended for generations, gold catches afternoon light and transforms into pure radiance. Kinkakuji, the golden pavilion, floats above its reflecting pond like a vision conjured from a dream. 3 stories rise in distinct architectural styles, each level representing a different realm of existence, all unified by gold leaf that covers every inch of the upper floors. Shogun Ashikaga Yoshimitsu commissioned this as his retirement villa in 1397, seeking to create a paradise on earth. After his death, it became a Zen Buddhist temple as he had wished. The original structure survived wars and natural disasters for over 5 centuries until 1950, when a young monk set it ablaze. His reasons remain debated, his madness or devotion unclear, but the temple that rose from those ashes in 1955 stands as faithful reproduction, gilded with 5 times more gold than its predecessor. The garden surrounding the pavilion was designed to be viewed while walking, each step revealing new perspectives and relationships between water, stone, and plant. Pine trees, shaped by patient hands over decades, frame views of the pavilion from carefully calculated angles. The mirror pond reflects not just the building, but the sky and surrounding forest, creating a seamless blend of architecture and nature. On still mornings, when mist rises from the water and the pavilion seems to hover between earth and heaven, it becomes clear why this place has captivated visitors for centuries. The gold isn't garish but transcendent. It doesn't shout for attention but glows with quiet confidence, a meditation on beauty, impermanence, and the human desire to create something that outlasts our brief time beneath the sun. Leaving the stillness of the Golden Pavilion, the path west leads through Kyoto's outskirts to Arashiyama, where another kind of temple rises. This sanctuary has no walls, no golden ornaments, no human-carved pillars. Instead, thousands of bamboo stalks shoot toward the sky, creating a living cathedral where filtered green light bathes all who enter. The bamboo grove of Sagano covers roughly 16 square miles, though the most photographed section is a pathway several hundred meters long. Walking through it feels like passing through the columns of a nave built by nature's hand. The stalks stand so densely packed that the world beyond vanishes, leaving only this vertical forest and the sound of wind moving through hollow stems. That sound has been designated one of Japan's 100 soundscapes to be preserved. It's a rushing whisper, part percussion, part melody, created by thousands of bamboo stalks swaying and clicking against each other. No recording truly captures it. The sound lives in the chest as much as the ear. Bamboo has served Japan for millennia, providing material for everything from tea ceremony utensils to scaffolding for castle construction. It grows with almost frightening speed, some species shooting up over 3 feet in a single day. Yet despite this rapid growth, bamboo possesses remarkable strength and flexibility, bending in typhoon winds that would snap other trees. Light filters down through the canopy in shifting patterns, painting the path in shades of jade and emerald. In early morning, before tour groups arrive, this grove offers something increasingly rare in our accelerating world. Here is a place that asks nothing except that you slow down, look up, and remember that beauty often requires simply creating space for it to exist. As the path descends from mountain forests, civilization returns gradually, starting with a park where guardians with velvet antlers wander freely among the maples. Nara, Japan's first permanent capital, established in 710, remains home to over 1,200 sika deer that bow to visitors in exchange for rice crackers. According to legend, the Shinto deity Takemikazuchi arrived in Nara riding a white deer, and from that moment forward, these animals have been considered sacred messengers. The deer have become remarkably bold over centuries of protection, approaching visitors without fear, even learning to bow their heads in a gesture that seems to mimic human politeness. In autumn, when maple leaves paint Nara Park in shades of crimson and gold, the deer stand like bronze statues against this tapestry of color. Rising beyond the park, the great Buddha of Todaiji Temple sits in meditation, a bronze colossus cast in 752 CE. This statue stands over 49 feet tall, weighing approximately 500 tons, one of the largest bronze Buddha figures in the world. The wooden hall housing it, though rebuilt and reduced from its original dimensions, remains the world's largest wooden structure. The Buddha's construction required nearly all of Japan's available bronze, an undertaking so massive it nearly bankrupted the nation. Workers melted down Buddhist bells, mirrors, and bronze implements from across the country. The casting took 8 attempts over 3 years, with millions of workers contributing labor, donations, and prayers. Standing before this figure, its right hand raised in a gesture of reassurance, its expression radiating serene compassion, centuries of prayer and devotion become almost tangible. Incense smoke curls upward toward wooden rafters, darkened by time and countless offerings. Outside, deer continue their patient vigil, guardians and guests in a park where the boundary between sacred and secular has grown soft with age. Climbing into the Hida Mountains, where modern Japan's relentless pace begins to slow, a town of dark timber and white plaster walls preserves the Edo period not as museum piece but as living architecture. Takayama, often called Little Kyoto, maintains 3 streets of merchant houses dating back to the 17th century, when this mountain town thrived as a center for skilled carpentry and sake production. The houses along Senmachi Street demonstrate the art of traditional Japanese architecture in its most refined form. Latticed windows, overhanging second stories, and entrances flanked by precisely trimmed hedges create a streetscape that appears frozen in time. But these buildings aren't frozen at all. They flex and breathe. Japanese master carpenters designed them to survive earthquakes through sophisticated joinery that requires no nails, allowing the structure to sway and settle rather than crack and fall. Many of these former merchant houses now operate as sake breweries, continuing traditions handed down through 20 or more generations. Cedar balls called sugidama hang above entrances, changing from green to brown as they age, serving as natural calendars for the brewing cycle. Inside, massive wooden tanks and ancient tools demonstrate that some methods improve with age rather than obsolescence. Twice yearly, in spring and autumn, Takayama hosts festivals that have continued uninterrupted since the 16th century. Elaborate floats called yatai, some featuring mechanical marionettes powered by ingenious rope and pulley systems designed centuries before electricity, parade through streets too narrow for modern vehicles. In morning light, when mist descends from the surrounding mountains and fills the valleys, Takayama feels untethered from any specific century. The past here isn't venerated at a distance. It's inhabited, maintained, and passed forward with the understanding that some things gain value rather than losing it as years accumulate. Following mountain rivers downward from Takayama leads to a volcanic wonderland where the Earth's restless interior makes its presence known through steam and stone. Hakone, nestled in mountains west of Tokyo, sits within a caldera formed by volcanic eruptions hundreds of thousands of years ago. That ancient violence now manifests as tranquility in hot springs that have soothed travelers for over 1,000 years. The landscape here seems designed by a painter obsessed with contrasts. Lake Ashi fills the caldera with waters that shift from steel gray to deep blue, depending on light and weather. Traditional pirate ships, ornate reproductions of Edo period vessels, cruise across its surface, carrying tourists past views of Mount Fuji rising beyond the southern shore. Steam vents called jigoku, literally hells, dot the mountainsides at Iwakudani, sulfurous clouds billowing from cracks in the Earth's surface. The Japanese relationship with hot springs, onsen, goes deeper than mere bathing. It becomes ritual, therapy, and social bonding compressed into an experience both deeply personal and communal. Ryokan inns throughout Hakone have perfected the art of the onsen experience over generations. Outdoor baths carved from single stones let bathers soak while watching seasons change, snow falling on winter cedars or autumn leaves drifting across water surfaces. The minerals dissolved in these thermal waters, drawn from deep beneath the mountains, turn the water cloudy white or milky blue, each spring possessing its own chemical signature. Traditional belief holds that different mineral compositions benefit specific ailments, though the true healing likely comes from the enforced stillness, the permission to simply exist in warmth and steam while the world continues without you for a time. In Hakone, the earth breathes, and humans have learned to breathe with it. Rising from the volcanic warmth of Hakone, the journey ascends into the spine of Japan itself, where the Japanese Alps pierce clouds and create a world of stone, snow, and silence. These mountains, divided into northern, central, and southern ranges, contain over a dozen peaks exceeding 10,000 feet. During the Edo period, when Mount Fuji drew pilgrims seeking spiritual enlightenment, these more remote peaks remained sacred in a different way, visited primarily by monks practicing mountain asceticism. The pilgrimage route to Mount Tate, one of Japan's 3 holy mountains, winds through forests of Japanese beech and cedar before emerging above the tree line. Here, altitude and harsh conditions create a landscape of alpine meadows and volcanic rock. The Tateyama Kurobi Alpine Route, completed in 1971, allows modern visitors to experience this high wilderness without the monks' suffering, though snow walls lining the road can tower over 60 feet even in late spring. Kamikochi Valley, gateway to the northern Alps, presents a different face of mountain majesty. The Azusa River flows gin-clear over smooth stones, flanked by forests that burst into gold and crimson each autumn. The Kappa Bridge, a wooden suspension bridge dating to 1927, frames views of the Hotaka mountain range, their snow-covered peaks reflected in the river's pools. British missionary Walter Weston popularized these mountains to the outside world in the 1890s, introducing the term Japanese Alps and inspiring the formation of Japan's mountaineering culture. A monument to him stands in Kamikochi, though the mountains themselves need no commemoration from human hands. In these heights, where the air thins and horizons expand, Japan reveals another facet of its character. This is a nation that venerates both the refined and the raw, finding spiritual significance in carefully raked gravel gardens and in mountains where nature remains untamed and overwhelming. Descending from mountain silence to human history, the path turns toward a city that carries the weight of August 6, 1945, yet refuses to be defined by it. Hiroshima rose from atomic ashes to become a monument not to destruction, but to the possibility of healing and the imperative of peace. The skeletal remains of the atomic bomb dome, formerly the Hiroshima Prefectural Industrial Promotion Hall, stand preserved at the moment of detonation. This building, nearly at ground zero, somehow remained partially standing when everything around it vaporized. The Peace Memorial Park spreads across what was once the city's busiest commercial district. The cenotaph for the A-bomb victims arcs like a shelter over a stone chest containing names of all known victims, a list that grows as researchers uncover more stories and as survivors succumb to radiation-related illnesses decades later. The peace flame burns continuously and will continue burning until all nuclear weapons are abolished from the earth. But Hiroshima is more than memory and memorial. The city rebuilt itself with determination, transforming from rubble to a thriving metropolis of over 1 million people. Life returned to streets where death had seemed absolute. Cherry blossoms bloom each spring along the Motoyasu River, their brief beauty a reminder of renewal's possibility. A short ferry ride across the inland sea leads to Miyajima Island, where tragedy gives way to transcendence. The great torii gate of Itsukushima Shrine appears to float on water at high tide, its vermilion pillars rising from waves. Built in its current form in 1875, replacing iterations dating back to the 6th century, this gate marks the boundary between the mundane and the sacred. The shrine itself, constructed on piers over the bay, seems to drift between earth and water, its architecture defying the elements through centuries of typhoons and tides. Deer wander the island freely here too, considered messengers of the gods. Mount Mizan rises behind the shrine, its summit offering views across the inland sea's countless islands, each one a world unto itself. In this place of profound beauty, Hiroshima's full story completes itself. From humanity's worst moment emerged not just survival, but determination to build a future worth that terrible cost. The final leg of this journey ventures north to Japan's least populated and wildest major island, where winter reigns with particular majesty. Hokkaido, separated from Honshu by the Tsugaru Strait, developed differently from the rest of Japan. Indigenous Ainu culture flourished here for thousands of years before Japanese settlement began in earnest during the Meiji era. That relatively recent colonization means Hokkaido feels younger, less layered with history, its cities laid out in grids rather than the organic tangles of Kyoto or Tokyo. But what Hokkaido lacks in ancient temples, it compensates for in raw natural grandeur. The island receives some of the heaviest snowfall on Earth, with drifts in mountain areas reaching 30 feet or more. This snow, called powder by skiers worldwide, possesses a unique lightness and dryness, perfect crystals that shimmer in sunlight. Resorts like Niseko draw winter enthusiasts from across the globe, though the most remarkable snow experiences often come simply from walking through forests transformed into winter wonderlands. The drift ice that fills the Sea of Okhotsk each winter creates one of Hokkaido's most surreal spectacles. Pack ice from Russia drifts south, covering the sea in jagged white formations that stretch to the horizon. Icebreaker ships push through this frozen expanse, and the sound of ice cracking and shifting echoes like distant thunder. Spring arrives with explosive force. Fields of lavender transform Furano into purple waves in summer. Autumn turns the mountains into tapestries of red, orange, and gold. Volcanic lakes like Lake Toya and Lake Shikotsu remain ice-free even in the depth of winter, their waters warmed from beneath. Red-crowned cranes, called tancho, dance in snowy fields during their midwinter mating ritual, pairs leaping and calling in performances that inspired traditional Japanese dance forms. These birds, standing 5 feet tall with wingspans exceeding 7 feet, came within a handful of individuals of extinction. Their recovery represents one of conservation's success stories, though they remain critically endangered. Hokkaido reminds visitors that Japan contains multitudes. This is the same nation that produces both Zen gardens, where every pebble has meaning, and wilderness where nature overwhelms human attempts at control. Both are equally Japanese, equally essential to understanding this archipelago's soul. 4 main islands, 6,000 smaller ones, stretching from subtropical seas to subarctic waters. A culture that preserves thousand-year-old temples while building tomorrow's technologies. A people who find divinity in mountains and perfection in simplicity. Japan reveals itself slowly to those willing to look beyond the surface, to understand that apparent contradictions are actually complementary truths. The journey never truly ends because each visit, each season, each moment reveals something new. The sun rises again over the Pacific, gilding new mornings, lighting the path for discoveries yet to come.